I need an Imperial Guard army, and I know just the man to call. It's a little bit early this time of the morning in the UK, but Brits like being woken up, don't they? Morning, dude. I am in need of some help. I need an Imperial Guard army, mate, like a really big one for my new Dawn of War campaign.
I don't quite understand.
About what?
How are you in my computer?
So you'll do it? Great. I need it in like 2 weeks, though.
How?
Thanks, dude. Bye.
Hi, it's Elston here again, part-time YouTuber extraordinaire. Yes, I'm at it again. And this time, I've paired up with someone on the other side of the planet. Yes, I've teamed up with Lachie, and we're going to do something kind of crazy, and we're going to get an Imperial Guard army ready for Dawn of War. I don't know why I'm clapping. Yay! So, Lachie needed an Imperial Guard army, and he put an ask out on his Discord, and no one really responded. I kind of said as a joke, well, if you need a hand, let me know. And yeah, then drop me a message, and it went from there. So, this video is going to be about how I put together my Death Corps of Krieg army, and yes, it's me, so I'm doing another large project. So, just grit and bear it, get ready for some mind-bending, batch painting extraordinaire moments, and also potentially tank stacking skills which are absolutely refined, and lots of things which are probably going to make you cringe a lot with lots of models piled on top of each other, because that's pretty much how I operate. Stay tuned for how this one pans out. Let's get to it! So, one of the most important things when starting a project is ascertaining what you've actually got. What do you aim to achieve? And we are batch painting a large amount. So what we need to do is take stock of what we have and see what kind of mountain possibility do we have to contend with, and how long might we be spending painting this? This is a good ascertain of, do I want to commit to this project, or, oh god no, God, no, 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 God, or the little thought in your brain going, this is gonna look awesome when it's all painted, which is usually my driving thought. So what I do first off is get out all the models that I'm going to be painting. Now this looks like a pile of chaos. It is. There's no ways about it. It's a pile of chaos. But it does help me understand what I've got to deal with. And before we fully get into the painting, what we're going to try and do is tidy up all the models that need a little bit of TLC. So that might mean green stuffing on little parts to fill it up, making your characters right, assembling any vehicles that need doing, and most of these are Forge World products as well. So a lot of shaving down resin, clipping resin, wearing a dust mask. Safety tip there, resin, nasty dust. Make sure you take the proper safety precautions when doing it, and also don't hold things in midair when soaring like this. It's not the greatest idea. I'm going to say that was not a wise moment in my life. That was a what we call special moment. Also, old Forge World instructions are fantastic. Look at that. 2 pieces of paper, 3 sides, and I have to assemble this monster with that. So like I said, assembling, cleaning everything out, getting ready to go, because what we don't want to do have to start something, then realize, oh, I've got to stop, pack all this lot away, go back, assemble something, then start up all over again. What we want to do is get it to the point where we hit everything in one go. Now, when you're doing projects of this size, you will inevitably miss something. Sadly, that is just the case of it. So don't worry if you do, it's fine. I do it more than I would like, but yeah, just remember what we want to do is try to do it all in one hit. So, and this is where step 1 comes in. Now, if any of you saw my video about Operation FAP, I'm not being crude, I'm just being efficient. Go check it out up there. You will know I like dealing with projects in a methodical batch painting style, and I'm going to try and deal with this project much like I'm planning on doing everything else, and I'm going to try and prime everything first. So that was the first step. Then after that, I decided, okay, I'm going to give all the infantry a zenithal highlight. This is just going to help the color that goes down stand out a bit more. If I go straight to black, we've got to do a lot more highlighting. The zenithal highlight helps us immensely just to achieve this. The other thing as well is a lot of these models are already painted. Now, what we kind of want to get to is what I call the baseline. We want to get all the models to the same level. So priming is one step, but the ones that have already got paint on them, they're already primed. So okay, so what do we do at that point? We want to bring them all to the same level, and we're basically going to overpaint them all with a base coat. So if they've just been primed, we're just going to base coat them. If they've already got some paint on them, we're again going to hit them with the base coat. We're going to bring everything back to the same level, so that when we go up each step, we can do every single model with the next step. I know that sounds a bit because some things already got painted. You might think, okay, it might be easier just to repaint it, but essentially that's what we're doing. We're bringing everything back to the baseline level, and then we're going to take it up stage by stage. And here you can see what it is. If anyone wants to know about the colors, this is basically the Fang. That is basically a bluey grey, essentially. Dark blue, Space Wolf grey might be a thing, but all we're going to do then is highlight it up with a lighter grey. Now this is less blowy, this is more towards what might have been known as the Space Wolf's grey back in the time, that colour. And what we're going to do with the armor panels is we're just going to centralize the highlights in each armor plate. So like you can see on the side of this one here, we're aiming to the middle of those plates. Now, it's not an exact science here. We're going to wash this down, we're going to weather it as well. We just want to get a little bit of variation going on when we're painting this, just to make it a little bit interesting when we're looking at. Granted, we're going to be looking at a horde of tanks and infantry, so you might not necessarily see the smallest highlight, but at the same time, we want these models to be able to stand up on their own. So as you can see here, baseline, step 2, or step 3, depending if you count the priming as a step, and you can start seeing them all start to come up as each layer goes on. Also as well, I am pro tank stacker, as you can see. Look at my genius tank stacking skills. How cool am I, right? So we do the same steps again, but we try and minimize the highlights, and this is more towards our very light grey, and this is kind of punches it up to probably the highest level we're going to go to. Now they look really bright at this point, but don't worry, that's absolutely fine. We're going to be bringing in some washes to weather these all down, but this is where we get to. We hit our baseline, then we hit it up again, we hit it up again, and then we are almost where we want to be. Now, if you want to own your own stack of tanks, I'm going to point you towards my affiliate program at Firestorm Games. The reason why I do it is they are my local friendly gaming store, and I want to support them. So yeah, click the affiliate link below and you'll be able to get some juicy discounts, and they are super good on shipping, really efficient. Bear that in mind. And if you're in the Swindon store, say Elstonation sent you, and then they'll probably laugh at you. Go check them out, links below. Now the next step before I put any weathering stuff down is I want to get the decals down. If you think about the logic of this, when a tank gets painted, all its markings will be painted on whilst it's clean, whilst it's getting its first licks of paint. It's not going to get them on after it's been out. Well, it might do. It might get the markings after it's been off for, like, obviously kill markings and stuff like that. But your standardized markings, the stuff you use decals with, would go on before it got weathered up. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to apply all our decals, and to do this, we put down a gloss varnish. We then lay our decals down. We then use micro set and micro sol, and just lay the decals down where we want them. Cut them to shape if they are coming in at a weird angle. Use a really sharp hobby knife at this point, because otherwise they'll just tear and flop all over the place and ruin the decals. Then once the decals on, we coat them with micro set, and this should lock them in place to a certain degree. Also, depending on what you're using, if it's going over curved, micro sol might be a better option. In this instance, I decided to use micro sol as well. This is just to really enforce it. Basically, micro set and micro sol, what they do is they basically semi-melt the decal. Now the next bit is we're going to do some tracks. This is a kind of default track method I use. I use a dark copper-esque color, tiny tins, warp block bronze, and then what I do after that is I just stipple on a gunmetal after that. This is kind of my default track method. After we've done this, we'll give them a wash as well. So this is effectively pretty easy. There's really not much to it. I wish there was some kind of secret genius thing, but to be honest with you, we got a hell of a lot of tanks to paint, so let's not go too complicated at this. We just want to get these done. The weathering will take effect, and when you see 20 of these things all in one go, it's fine. Now, if sponging doesn't work as well, dry brushing will also suffice. Also as well, at this point, some of the tracks I had painted off the actual tanks themselves, so at this point I'll take the opportunity to attach the tracks to the model as well. So it can go on like this as you're doing projects, just add little bits as and when we need to. Now for the gross part. I say gross. Just be careful with this bit. Oil paints, they are slightly abrasive. I say slightly abrasive. They just use some chemicals to do it, so just be a little bit careful with this. And what you want to do is use some odorless spirits to thin them down and get them to a consistency you're happy with. And for this one, I'm using a brown and a black mix, and as you can see, it runs all over the place. You just plaster the vehicle in these. So that's all you do, just plaster it all over. Now, keep in mind, you don't want to leave these too long. I figured out recently that if you leave these on too long, they actually just fully dry and you can't get them off again. So when you're doing this, be ready to take them off almost instantly, to be fair. You could leave them a day or so, but you're kind of risking it. And what I'm doing here as well is I'm just coming in with a odorless spirit on a brush, and I'm just kind of thinning it down a bit to kind of make it run into the recesses and be less and more okay. And then after that, we're using a cotton bud, and we're just going to clean up and try and scrape off the majority of it. But we do want a lot of that dirt to be sitting in the recesses, like sort of highlighting all the dents, the rivets and everything like that. Also probably the bottom of the tracks will kind of leave that as is. And this basically gives our weathering. I know oil paints are a bit of a scary thing for a lot of people. Yes, they are different. They're not like acrylics. You do have to kind of prep them. But if you do get the opportunity to try them, just set up the area so that you're ready to do it. Just try it, small little bits, but once you get used to it, they are incredible. So please don't be afraid of them. Now we're gonna fix weird stuff which I didn't realize had happened. Now I'm surprised it got all the way to this stage in the process, but yeah. This Sentinel had green stuff feet, and I did not realize it until I went to base them, and then I was like, oh, they don't look right. So I decided to 3D print some feet and fix them. I had to 3D print some new feet and attach them at the right point, super glue the Sentinels back on. Now, the problem with this is I need to repaint these. So as I said at the beginning, you're going to miss some things. And yes, I missed that these Sentinels had green stuff feet. I do dumb things, therefore I am. But when you get around to painting it, you will quickly realize that they have weird green stuff chicken feet instead of actual mechanical feet. Now I put this down to having to do lots of things all at once, so inevitably you will miss something. Unfortunately, that's just the name of the game. You do a large project, you're gonna miss something from time to time. Just don't beat yourself up about it. I do it all the time. I probably should have learnt by now, but it keeps on happening. Oh well, carry on. Then after that, I decided to attach in the infantryman into the tanks where I need to in this little tractor. I cannot remember the name of that right now. Centaur, I think it is. Trojan, Centaur, one of them. And we're also going to apply all the little details. Now, I can tell you all the colors that you need to do at this point in time, but to be honest with you, I would say just do what you think is cool. Look at some reference pictures and what do you think looks cool? Does a red warhead with a black tip, just the tip, make more sense, or is it easier doing white? Whatever your preference is. This is a really fun part where you start bolting all the bits together, and yes, believe it or not, I did drill the gun barrels. Also, I decided to have a little bit of fun with this. As you can see, the little Hydra flat cannons, they're all playing old 80s arcade games in there. It's worthwhile mentioning this because you can have fun with these large projects. It's not all just one big grind. Do have some fun because, yeah, painting this much can be a chore, and as much as this may be a 20-minute video, this took me a couple of months. Now the grind is real, I can't take that away, just be prepared for it and don't think that a 20-minute YouTube video will encapsulate all the work you have to do. It's really not the case. This army actually took me about 2 months to paint. So I'm just giving you a bit of a reality check before you decide to go, I know, I can do what Elston did in 20 minutes, because he did it in 20 minutes. I didn't do it in 20 minutes, just to let you know. But the infantrymen themselves, they're pretty easy. They're brown, then they were dry brushed with a lighter brown, they were masked up with an orangey brown for the masks, and then details. Now we're going to use some Geek Gaming scenics, and this was wasteland soil and arid grasslands. And looking at them, they're almost the same. So, I decided to shake them up to get the correct stuff to the top. And then I thought, well, let's just mix them together. So, if you wanted to know how far the old tubs at Geek Gaming Scenics or Luke's APS will go, 2 tubs will allow you to complete the entirety, which I believe works out at somewhere around 300 minis, possibly. So, you know how this works, you put some PVA down, and then you dunk the model. There's really not much else to it at that point, however, you do it on mass scale. This is actually quite therapeutic as well, because this is one of those quick moments and one of those quick win moments where you will see the army instantly change from a certain look, which is like, okay, this is kind of done, to be going, oh, they look really good now. Oh, they're ready to go. Now here's another bit I'd advise doing, and this is locking in the basing. So because I just used normal PVA, what I did is I diluted the PVA down, then I squirted the base with isopropyl alcohol, and then I dunked the diluted PVA on top. All this does is basically it dries again on top of the already existing, and it locks all the stones in place. Trust me, it's worth it though, just to save little bits of grit going all over your gaming board. Also, quick tip here, if you're ever doing this and you need a place to dry your models if they've got glue on the bases and the glue inevitably runs off, cork tiles are brilliant. You can find them at hardware stores for pretty cheap, and all you do is when your models have the glue on them, put them on this. If they're going to glue to anything, they're going to glue to that, and if you glue them with the shiny side up, then they'll just pop off. And they won't get stuck to your cutting mat won't get ruined, paper towels won't get stuck to it. They're pretty efficient, so these are my drying tiles. They're also my basing tiles. They're multi-purpose tiles. I highly recommend. Then it was time for details, and if I could advise anything to you, do not do this color scheme. I don't know why I decided I wanted a sort of creamy white inner coat. I don't think anyone would ever do that. However, it did kind of differentiate it up and kind of give it a bit of a something else. However, I don't think it's really that practical. It's just a bit weird now that I look back at it, but hey, it's done. And yeah. And then we do some extra little details on the infantry as well, like plasma guns, flamers, melters, all that kind of stuff. All the little bits and bobs. And then we have a finished army. Now, I do apologize, this is not a step-by-step tutorial on how to do this exact color scheme and how to do this army itself. This is a overall view of ideas, concepts behind mass army painting as well. And as you can see, I got some pretty good results out of it. I'm pretty happy. All I can say is if you manage it, you can optimize the performance and shrink down any wasted time. Gathering all your models together getting everything to a baseline, doing step by step by step by step, means you don't have to go backwards and forwards and repeat steps over again. Pull out equipment which you needed for a previous step, you can just move forward. Now, as people know who may have watched this channel a lot, I talk about this stuff a lot. It's hard to summarize it all into one video, and I've tried multiple times, but every time I seem to come up with another idea or concept that my brain comes up with for large painting projects. So this one is an addition to it to help you even more if you ever decide to do a large painting project. So that's the project, and as you well may be able to summarize at this point, no, I didn't do this in 2 weeks. This was done over 2 months, and this was done a while ago. But I'm hoping this video has given you some ideas and some inspiration on tips and tricks you can try for when you're doing your own batch painting process. How can you be a little bit more efficient? How could you just optimize your time and efficiency so that the grind is shrunk down to the most minimal amount and point that you can? And it also makes those grand ideas far more achievable and just so close you could reach out and touch them. Touch like this, like this. So I'm really hoping I can persuade some of you to go over to Zorpazorp and Zorphammer to watch the videos where hopefully you'll see a bit of a collab with myself, and also you'll see them on the Zorphammer channel in the Dawn of War campaign, and fingers crossed they do well. However, they are guard and they are there to die, but they do have lots of tanks. So fingers crossed, let's pray to the Emperor and Chaos and whoever's listening that they don't all die. No promises though. Anyway, that's my video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Go check out Lachie's channel. Go check out my other videos if you want some stupid behavior, and stay tuned for more channels in the future. And remember, subscribe, like, all that jazz, and see you next time. Be good to each other. See ya. Bye.